Hey, what's going on, everybody? Just going to put this little clip in at the beginning of the video before we get to our subject matter. Wanted to tell everybody that I have put my truck that I drive into the virtual GATS truck show for Great American Truck Show. They got canceled because of COVID. They're going to have the truck show on a virtual basis, and everybody can go and vote, okay? My boss has also entered his 1982 Freightliner cab over. It's a little bit of a typo in the online voting. It shows it as a 92, but it's definitely an 82. He's in the antique class. His name is Ben Cadle. It's a blue 82 model Freightliner cab over. And then the truck I drive is in the working class bobtail, 2013 and older. Obviously, it's a green and white Coronado 4-axle truck. So I would appreciate you if you go online to the Great American Trucking Show, GATS, online truck show, and give us a vote. You can vote. You get 3 votes in each category, and so you can vote for my boss's truck in his antique class, and you can vote for mine in the working bobtail class. I'd appreciate the vote. And now, if you'll do that, we're going to get on with the video here. What's going on, YouTube? Wanted to do a little bit of a different type video, kind of check in with everybody, but this video kind of has been on my mind for a little bit, and I just haven't stopped to do it. And there's a Facebook group now that I'm going to link it into, and I think it's something that needs to be said maybe to the people that haven't been in trucking for more than about a decade, because we're living in a tech world now, a digital age. And so a lot of the old school methods of how trucking was done have been replaced by more digital electronic methods. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the old school methods are totally obsolete. And you're going to say, what are you talking about? I'm going to give you a for instance here, and then I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I had an encounter about 2 months ago, I think it was. I don't exactly remember. It was about a month and a half, 2 months ago. Down in Florida. And I was on the north side of Jacksonville at the Loves there, doing a 30-minute break. And there was a younger guy, driver, pulled into the spot next to me, backed in. And he was moving his trailer tandems around, and then he left. And a couple of minutes later, he came right back. And he was moving his trailer tandems around again. And at this point, he's very frustrated. I can see in his body language, he's kind of throwing his hands up. I can tell he's on the phone. He's got his headset on. He's kind of having what looks to be an argument on the phone. And anyway, he's looking at his fifth wheel, and he gets off the phone, and maybe I'm putting my 2 cents in. Maybe I'm butting in where I wasn't, wanted, but I got out and talked to him, asked him, was there anything I could help him with? I kind of got the idea that he was having trouble getting his weight right. We've all been there at that spot watching somebody move their weight around. Anyway, I got to talking to him. He was a fairly new driver. He'd only been out by himself a couple of months. And he was at one of your larger carriers. I'm not going to say names because it doesn't matter. You can interject any carrier name right here that trains new drivers, okay? And he was taught in the beginning at his truck driving school and then by his trainer as well, 12, 34, 34, you're good to go. Meaning 12,000 on your steer, 34 on your drive, 34,000 on your trailer, good to go. And technically that is correct. If you're 12, 34, 34, you're going to be fine on the interstates and U.S. highways and whatnot. But that's not the full story. And anybody who's been out here for a while is going to know that, hopefully. But that's the simple way of teaching somebody weight limits, right? What you have to go further into detail is to say that there are some states that allow you more. And so when I saw his weights, I can't exactly, I don't remember exactly what they were, but basically his trailer was heavy. And even with his, he knew he couldn't go far back with his trailer tandems. But at about the limit for the state of Florida, which I think is 41 feet, maybe 40, I can't remember. I think it's 41 feet. He was about 36,000 on his trailer tandems. But on his drives, he was only like 29 or 30. And his steers were fine, obviously. And so he was frustrated because he was going to have to go back to the shipper and get reworked. And I told him, I said, well, where are you going with the load? Because that would dictate whether or not he had to go get reworked. And he said, well, I'm only going to Atlanta. I said, okay. Now, going to Atlanta, you're not going to have to go get reworked. He said, how's that? I said, well, the state of Florida will allow you up to 44,000 pounds on a tandem. As long as you're under 80,000, you're good to go. He said, oh, okay. And then I could see the light bulb in his head go off. He's like, well, what about when I get to Georgia? Will they allow me 44,000? I said, no, they'll only allow you 34,000. And immediately he's like, well, there you go. I can't go. I said, but wait, because Georgia doesn't have a kingpin to center of rear axle maximum setting. So in the state of Georgia, you can run your trailer tandems all the way at the rear. Is it advisable? I wouldn't do it if I didn't have to. But in a situation like this, where you run your tandems forward to meet the kingpin requirement for the state of Florida, and you're still under 44,000, and then when you get to the Georgia line, you pull in to the rest area, slide your tandems back on your trailer to get your trailer down to 34. Your drives are not going to be overweight because you weren't close on your drives to begin with. You're only going to move 2,000 pounds. And then you're good to go for the state of Georgia, and he can go to Atlanta and make his delivery. A short run like that to Atlanta, fine. Run your tandems at the back just in the state of Georgia. Get the delivery off. Rather than having to go back to the shipper, get reworked, and do all of that. I mean, we've all been there. That sometimes it's fast, but not likely. It's going to be hours. So he was very, very happy once he figured all of that out, and he could just get on the road and go. Now, what about that story has anything to do with old school trucking methods and old tech that some might think is obsolete versus new tech? What I'm talking about is a road atlas. Rand McNally makes these road atlases. Made those long before they made the GPSs. And you say, well, my GPS, it tells me the route and everything, but your GPS doesn't tell you things about state rules, things that certain states allow, things that certain states don't. And what I'm talking about, for anybody, if you had a road atlas, if you used one, believe in them, you know what I'm talking about here. But for the people that haven't, if you look in the first few pages of a road atlas, I'm going to turn the camera a little bit here. It has a lot of information about state contact numbers. It gives you a full legal pre-trip on everything to check. Fuel tax phone numbers. It gives you some Canadian and Mexican regulations. Contact numbers for road construction, police. Anyway, we get back here. I'm going to try to get the camera to focus. There's a chart. Okay? Let's see. See if I can do this better this way. There's a chart. And it says national weight size provisions. And what that means is the national network, the interstate network. All right, so this chart is for the interstates. And it's broke down with every single state. Okay? You got the states. And then it gives you all the numbers, okay? So if we just look at the situation that I was discussing, we go down to Florida. Legal weight limits for interstate routes and access thereto. So that doesn't mean just the interstate. It means access to get to the interstate. So if you're picking up at a shipper that's close to the interstate, you're allowed to run the interstate weight limit on your access route to it. Now, it's within reason. You can't be 75 or 100 mile, I wouldn't think. Now, I'm not certain on that part of it. But anyway, it says access thereto. But we go to the state of Florida. Single axle. They do not specify steer, okay? Just single axle. 22,000. Tandem axle, 44,000. Gross weight, 80,000. It's got an asterisk of number 1, so we look and see what that means. Weight on tires shall not exceed maximum allowed by manufacturer. Okay, so what that means is if you're getting up in there over that 34,000 mark, you need to get out and look at the side of your tires at what they're rated for pounds wise and do the math. Make sure that your tires are rated to carry the amount of weight that you're carrying. Okay, but that tells you that you're allowed 22,000 on a single, 44 on a tandem, and 80,000 gross for the interstate without needing any kind of special. Okay, you say, well, that's for the interstate. All right, so what do we look at for the state of Georgia? State of Georgia, 20,340, 34,000 on the tandem, and 80,000 on the gross. We got an asterisk of number 6 beside the tandem. So we go over here and we read number 6. It says, if gross vehicle weight is less than 73,280 pounds and length is less than 55 feet, then tandem weight can weigh 40,680. Now what that is for is a smaller dump, like a day cab with a dump trailer or a short trailer, something like that. You're going to be under 55 feet total length, which most road tractors and trailers are not going to be. You'd have to have a very short trailer to get under 55 feet. But anyway, it allows you over the 34 if you got a shorter truck on a tandem. So now we'll turn the page here, and we turn one page, and the next page is for your state highways, state and provincial weight and size limits. Okay, so we turn to one page and we go, and it's got all the weights and sizes for the state highways, and U.S. highways would be included in this as well. Okay. State of Florida, steering axle not specified. Okay, meaning that they look at a steering axle as a single axle. Same thing for the state of Georgia, and it lists every single state here. Okay, now we go to the single axle for the state of Florida. It's 22,000, 44,000 on the tandem, 80,000 on the gross. So that tells you that they're allowing you the same amount of weights on the state highways as they are on the interstates. Now we look at the state of Georgia. Now this is where it gets a little interesting. State of Georgia also on the steer is not specified, so they look at it as a single. Any single axle's 20,340. Tandem axle on the state highway system in the state of Georgia is 37,340. And then you got 80,000 for your gross. But these are numbers. This is information that you will not get from your GPS or your Google map. Okay, this is information that can be helpful, especially in a situation like I just mentioned, where you may be thinking you need to go get reworked, but depending on where you're at and where you're going, you may not, because there's a lot of states that 34,000 is not the limit. Let me just take a quick look at a tandem axle and how many states will let you run more than 34,000 pounds. On the state highway side of it, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 states. 18 states allow you to run more than 34,000 pounds on a tandem. Okay? That's on the state highway side. On the interstate side, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So even on the interstate side, you've got 11 states that allow you to go over 34,000. This is information you would not know by turning on your GPS or pulling up your Google map. Okay, you'd be headed back to get your rework. Okay, that's one benefit to having a road atlas. Okay, that's just one. There's a lot of other helpful things in these road atlases that is information that you will need, and yes, you can find a lot of it digitally. However, there are a lot of times where you may or may not have service. Your phone may be dead. You may bust your phone. You may break your phone. You may lose your phone. And then you need to get this information. Another part of the book, before you get to the actual maps, is you have a section for every state that shows you low clearance locations that are on truck routes, okay? And the weigh station locations and restricted routes, routes that trucks are not supposed to be on, okay? And it gives you that in a list. I'm gonna turn the camera around. So you look here, you see we've got the state of Alabama, low clearance locations, and it lists the route that they're on, the city that they're in, and then if you look over here in the crease of the book, it tells you the height of that low clearance and a map key. And that first one is on map key L7. So let's go find that one. It's in Greenville, Alabama. It's on Highway Alabama 10, and it's at map location L7. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip over to the state of Alabama. Let me move this around a little bit. All right, so we're going to flip to the state of Alabama. Now see, there's a map of the whole entire country, and it has all your interstates on it, and you can kind of get a good glimpse of your route. But now, all right, so here's look at that. State of Alabama. Now, we're looking for L7, right? Because that's where the bridge was at. So, on the side of the page to the left is the letters. You got, it starts up here at the top with A, comes all the way down. We're looking for L, all right? Now, right here at the bottom of the page, we've got our numbers. We're going to come over to 7. So we're going to follow that 7 up and come across to the L. Oh, there's Greenville right there, okay? That's right there where Greenville is. And there's Alabama 10. So right there around Greenville on Alabama 10 is where that low clearance is at. So what that's going to tell you is that if you need to be in that area, if you have to go that way to get to your shipper or receiver, then you need to investigate, does your route include that stretch where the low bridge is at? That's where you may need to call your shipper or receiver, whoever it is that you're going to, and say, hey, I know that there is a low bridge. Can I get under it? Do I go through that area? That's where that would come in, okay? Now, the other thing that's very helpful, and the reason that's very helpful is because your GPS can sometimes do some goofy things. Even though they're truck GPSs, I have one. I've got a Rand McNally GPS up there on my windshield. If you've been driving for any amount of time, your truck GPS has wanted you to go down routes that you should not go down. I know personally, I have been in multiple situations where I come up to a stop or come up to a turn and I'm looking down that way and I'm like, I shouldn't be going that way. It looks kind of neighborhoodish, or that just doesn't look right. Or how many times has your GPS popped up and said your route will include dirt roads? They're not perfect. It's a piece of equipment that is programmed by a human, and humans are not perfect, okay? And so that's why the paper copy of a road atlas is always nice to have as a backup, even if you view it just as a backup. You know how much this book cost me? This book cost me $12, okay? $12. And it's got a lot of information in it that you can't get from your GPS or your Google map, okay? And so it really comes in handy to have one in the truck, even as just a backup. Even if you're going to rely on your GPS, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's thousands upon thousands, probably hundreds of thousands upon hundreds of thousands of drivers who rely solely on their GPS, do not have this book, and they somehow get by. It can be done. I don't open this book every day. I may not even open this book every week. But for $12, it's there when I need it, okay? I can compare the route that my GPS spits out against this route. If it's a route that I haven't been on before, which even after driving nearly, since 2003, even after driving since then, there's sometimes a route that I haven't been on. And so I'll get the book out and say, you know what? Okay, let me just look at this and make sure that I like that I think that that's a good route, even though the GPS says it is, okay? So for $12, you can't beat that. Now, there are fancier versions of this road atlas with, laminated pages, and there's even a large print version to where the state of Alabama was 2 pages that I just showed you. In the large print version, it would be 4 pages, It'd be split up and blown up a bigger scale. You can get all that. I think that's like $60 for that one, or $70. But $12 version for me is all I need, because now I kept that one a little longer from 2017. I like to usually replace mine every 2 years or so, because things change. Laws get changed, roads get changed, and so things change. And I like to replace my book at least every 2 years usually. That one made it 3. But anyway, $12, you can't beat it, and it's a great backup. It's great information in here that's not in your GPS, not in your road atlas. And so that's really what I wanted to talk about. And I just really, I think that there's a lot of use for this, even in today's times where everything is electronic and digital, and we've gone away from anything paper. Nobody has paper anymore. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to talk about. Just a helpful little tip, and hope that helps some people. Hope that maybe gives you some ideas that there are some other options sometimes on weights. It's not always just the 12, 34, 34. And hopefully that helps somebody out. All right. Appreciate the time. I hope everybody has a good week. I'm currently up in Maine. Gonna pick up an oversize in the morning and head down to PA with it. Drop it off tomorrow, hopefully. Shouldn't have a problem with that. And then grab another trailer and head to the house. So y'all have a good rest of the week. Be safe. And remember, keep the shiny side up, rubber side down. Peace out.